Good morning, or whatever time of day it is where you are. Now, did you ever see, what's the name of that movie again? I'll think of it in a minute. Yeah, but my past attempts at movie commentaries and explanations haven't gone over very well. So I thought I'd try the simpler format of somewhat brainless reaction videos like thousands of others. But I don't see any reason to do the same handful of films that have been done hundreds of times. So I made my own list of movies I'd like to see, or see again in some instances. I have a personal golden age of film from roughly 1965 to 1983 or so. During this period, I actually saw quite a few movies, but I've pretty much forgotten a lot about them. And there were movies I wanted to see but didn't always get around to seeing, or I had heard of but wasn't interested enough to make time for. So I'll be reacting to films from this era. I have a list of currently about 60 movies. Now, these are good, generally, but not necessarily the great top-grossing films or the classics or franchises or anything from Disney. Just movies from that period that I want to see. Now, that's the deciding factor to be on the list. Movies that I want to see or see again. Now, before anything else, I need to introduce my co-hosts. They need to be fed with clicks, or they get quite stroppy. Now, did you ever see a Cold War thriller about a submarine? Long before Tom Clancy. The sub sets off to rescue the crew of an Arctic research station. Their orders suddenly change when a Russian satellite falls to Earth near the pole. We want it, they want it, intrigue ensues. Then add a British agent, a contingent of U.S. Marines, and possibly a Russian spy. It's been over 40 years, I don't really remember. But the nature of the story strongly suggests that there is. Now, I will occasionally pause the video whenever something needs a longer comment or question, so I can comment or question without losing what's coming up. And maybe look up things that don't make sense. Now, this also helps foil the Content ID system by adding blank spaces. With all that said, let's put on our parkas and mukluks and head to Ice Station Zebra. I just remembered this is a 2.5-hour long movie. Obviously, we're not going to sit through it in one sitting. I don't know if this is going to have to be broken into 2, 3, or maybe even 4 parts. But we'll see as we go along. Stay tuned. Hey, that's not a zebra. Ah, must be Christmas time. Where's the 3 wise men? Oh, Cinerama. Let's get a couple more screens here so we can spread it out. Rock Hudson. You don't really think of Rock Hudson in a movie like this. Ernest Borgnine, you can imagine anywhere. He's great. Patrick McGoohan, Secret Agent Man. Jim Brown, arguably the greatest running back in the history of the NFL. Tony Bill, you might recognize, but you don't know who he is. Fire retro rockets.
Separation at 042945 Zulu.
Пускается 0429426.
I'd like you to take a look at these two bits of equipment as shown in the movie and tell me what you think.
Четыре два 930 11 запад 87 север.
That's easy for you to say.
043115 Zulu.
That's Sandy Claus? I found it. It's what I found, I have no idea. Uh-oh. That looks like a bad guy.
McCluskey's bar. Hold on.
You? Hello? Yes, it is. Right. Be right over.
Leave one pub, walk down the street, and enter a different pub. Here follows a nice scene between Rock Hudson and Lloyd Nolan as the Admiral, discussing the merits of Scotch versus bourbon, the troubles at the British weather station at the North Pole that they're not allowed to talk about, and other super secret stuff that's happening.
That's another reason why I'm up here.
But I can't show it to you.
There's another name in there that'll impress you more. Second page at the bottom.
Now we spend the whole movie trying to guess whose name's on there. This movie is 56 years old. MGM has not made a penny out of it for decades, and they still clamp down on showing clips from it, even cut up into little pieces.
My car's in the alley.
We can sneak out without paying the bill.
I don't know the whole picture, but I can give you a few details. Not many. You'll just have to try and get the rest from your passenger.
Yes, sir. By the way, sir, when do I meet him? I mean, where is he now?
Would expect he's on that plane? There he is. Yeah, pretty fancy car. Probably about 50 years old at that point.
job, send up the inner harbor chart.
All right, sir. Control, send up the inner harbor chart for Holy Lock.
Harbor chart coming up, sir.
Looks like we jumped ahead quite a bit.
Flooding, Captain. Slack up against it.
Now, Walker? Yes, sir. I'm Hans in operations. Put your man down the forward hatch.
All right, try to get and follow me, man.
Okay, didn't know anything about them.
Rescue mission seems a little odd to send Marines.
Thought he was going to ask for his autograph.
Here's our passenger.
Maneuvering watch is set, Captain. We're ready to get underway.
Okay, George.
This next scene is too long to pass the CID system, and its structure is such that it's not practical to try to cut it up into smaller chunks. So I'm going to have to use a totally different technique, which I may also use sometime later.
We do. We operate on a first-name basis. My first name is Captain.
Be it ever so functional.
I'm putting you in here with Mr. Hanson.
Your operations
That's right.
officer.
I'll drop in from time to time to make sure you're
Here, Captain?
comfortable. Here, keep this with you. This is a nuclear submarine, as you know. We'll check you from time to time for radiation.
That's very kind of you.
You know, Mr. Jones, it isn't every day that somebody as important as Admiral Garvey flies all the way up from London to Holy Lock to personally hand me a copy of somebody's orders. What are you up to?
Isn't it there?
It does say Mr. Jones is to be taken into your fullest confidence and will be extended every facility and all aid.
That puts a great deal of responsibility on my shoulders. It's a stunning character reference, too, don't you think?
And it is signed by the Chief of Naval Operations.
And you must be delighted to know what a trustworthy fellow I am.
But there's not a word here, Mr. Jones, about why, or your part of the mission.
Ah, it's a question of explaining me to your men.
But there has been some speculation.
I see. That door soundproof?
More or less.
Yes. And, is it true, Captain, that aboard United States naval vessels, no whiskey is ever served?
I'm to extend to you every facility, short of endangering the submarine or the lives of the crew. That could include a pint of medicinal whiskey, if you happen to be seasick.
I am, habitually.
All right. Now, about your mission.
Well, I wouldn't insult you by swearing you to secrecy or anything of that sort. I think the most expedient thing, since you have your orders, is to obey them.
Beginning to hate this guy already, don't you?
Short of endangering my ship or my crew?
Naturally. May I ask, Captain, when we expect to reach the ice barrier?
Yes, you may ask.
Oh, this is going to be a fun wrestling match, I can tell. Another inexplicable trivial blockage.
That shot is
Periscope depth, eh?
Pretty fancy bunch of toys.
You're
there.
not missing anything. It's just the same cliche submarine diving
Haven't the
sequence
slightest idea what
you've
they're
seen a
talking
dozen
about.
times before.
maneuvering control. Injection.
I'm not sure that sub is period. At least the exterior one. Depending on when this is supposed to take place.
Periscope depth, Captain.
Very well, thank you. We have an escort, Mr. Jones.
Russian trawler?
The innocent and inevitable Russian trawler. Just happened to be in our neighborhood. What's our target doing, radar?
Mark, bearing 195, range 3000.
Take it at 300 feet, Ed. Hold your speed as is. No point in giving him a demonstration.
300 feet high.
The captain receives the latest distress call from Zebra. He briefs the crew on the situation, including the political aspects.
As you know,
Says the weather is too bad for any air operations, so they're going in under the ice. Drama at its finest.
We're going in under the ice pack. One more thing. We have with us a British civilian. I'm authorized to tell you his name is Jones. That there are certain classified aspects to his mission, which means it's none of our business. So let's leave the poor man alone. I'll keep you informed, that is all.
Over 1,000 from number 1 auxiliary.
How does it look, Court? From this diving point, Captain, I would say our best bet for a quick course would be 287 until we clear the Hebrides. Then directly to Spitsbergen for a final departure fix. Transit time checks with our initial estimates. Thank you.
Attention! Carry on.
The captain meets the Marines. Well, it's a cute scene, but it doesn't add much to the story, and it is kind of long. So,
Urgent, Zabritsky.
Right to the captain.
Yes, sir.
but he's been sleeping in my bed.
Mr. Jones, you're in my bunk. Mr. Jones.
Found him in my bunk, Captain. Yes. They woke me out of a rotten sleep. Asinine reflex, idiotic. It won't happen again. Endless apologies.
We've been ordered to a surface rendezvous, 59 north or west. That's just off the Orkney Islands. It's with whom or what, we don't know.
And you think that I do? Captain, you've already guessed that I'm some sort of sneaky bastard involved in some sort of low skullduggery, right?
I think we all guessed
But there's
that.
no reason for a straightforward, up and up, out in the open fellow like yourself being involved more than he must. I promise you this. You'll know all you need to know, as and if the need arises.
Why doesn't that reassure me?
Now, shall we keep our mysterious rendezvous?
Why not?
I think we're going to have to talk about submarines later.
Death now, Captain.
Very well. Shift to red.
Contact 237-12500.
All clear inside of 5,000 yards.
We are in contact with Bravo 4-3. He confirms identification.
Ridge Eye Radio, we have him in
Yeah.
sight.
Special delivery. Interesting. Boring, but interesting. Why does every submarine movie use that same shot?
Captain, I'd like to introduce you to a good friend and associate, Boris Borisovich Vaslov, the damnedest anti-Russian you ever met.
Chief of Naval Operations. You and Mr. Jones seem to have the same friends.
And the same enemies.
I'm Commander Faraday, Captain.
Captain Anders, sir.
Good to have you aboard.
Thank you, sir.
Especially since it meant so much to someone to get you on board.
Yes, sir.
Captain. Patterson.
Sir.
Show Captain Anders to my quarters. I'll join you in a moment.
You do not know about him?
Was he checked?
Of course. By the officials at the airbase. You think he was put here to spy on us?
It's a definite possibility. By which side?
We got a whole boat full of suspicion here.
And no word from Halliwell. Not one word from Halliwell?
Nothing.
What about Goodwin?
We don't know.
Quit mumbling, man.
This Captain Faraday, how much does he know?
He knows enough to get us where we want to go. So you can continue to be your same big, beguiling, sweet, candid, talkative self.
And tell him nothing. I know. Oh, what happened up there? What went wrong?
Where'd they pick you up?
In transit, sir.
So you'll be taking command.
As soon as possible. They're highly trained in Arctic maneuvers, but untested in actual combat.
Davis, ask Lieutenant Walker to come into my stateroom, please.
Yes, sir.
Captain? Lieutenant Walker, this is Captain Anders. He'll be taking some of the load off your shoulders.
Welcome aboard, sir. We were all wondering.
Lieutenant,
Sir.
you will notify the men that there will be a showdown inspection at 0700.
Yes, sir.
And Lieutenant, it will be a bitch.
Yes, sir.
That's all.
Yes, sir.
You think I was too abrupt with him, huh? I made a point of it. You see, Captain, I've saved a lot of lives by teaching men to jump when I speak.
All right.
The young lieutenant's a familiar type, popular with the men. As for me, I measure an officer's weakness by every man that likes him personally.
Well, I intended to put you in with Lieutenant Walker, but...
Well, you can see, sir, that wouldn't be in line with my methods.
No. All right. I'll put you in with, Mr. Vaslov.
Thank you,
He keeps getting his little bites in there. Sneaking around.
Sure, go ahead, look around.
Yep. Good man.
Boardroom, this is Lieutenant Mingus. Is the captain there? Yeah.
That looks like a drive shaft or propeller shaft or whatever.
I am out exploring. That is my passion. Also, I am a man who loves to walk.
But a lot of us like to walk. We can share that much. The next time, you might ask one of us along.
But I do hope you do not object to my interest in your boat.
No, ask any question you like. You mean, where is it?
Exactly.
You're standing on it. Martin.
It seems almost benevolent.
On that state, yes. Confined, controlled, shielded. But it is nuclear fission. And it hates being confined, even more than you do.
But at least it does not have to share its confinement.
Not much here, just Jones adding Captain Anders to the list of people that don't like him.
Morning. I'm Jones. Captain Anders?
Well, there's some, looks like some ice and snow in the distance there. That's what we came for.
Radio bridge. Any contact with Zebra?
Yes, sir, we're receiving them faintly. They're sending their call signal DSY over and over again.
Bridge, navigator. We got a good fix of them, Captain. Bearing 328.
Dive, Bob.
Welcome to Submarine Operations 101, a brief course to inform the audience on how a submarine works.
Drift log. 70 fathoms. 60 fathoms. 65
Attention all hands. Captain, we're going under the ice now.
6 feet.
Here it comes. 10 feet. 10 feet.
5 fathoms.
20 feet. Deep pressure ridge.
See what's on TV.
TV.
Great.
closed circuit.
Leave that on.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again and probably will say it even more. Some of these scenes are interesting
45 fathoms.
yet boring.
40 fathoms. 35 fathoms.
Sonar, what's the heavy side of that ridge?
Heavy on the port side, Captain.
Right full rudder.
Right full rudder. Sounding 16 fathoms.
What's our depth? 100 feet. Keel depth, Captain. Costigan?
Since you can expect that they're going to run into trouble here under the ice, The only tension is when is it going to happen, not if.
Answering all stop. 30 feet. Sonar, disregard your side search and stay on that ridge. And keep your reports coming. Sonar aye.
Ridge ahead blocks me to 315. Point me possibly clear.
Starboard ahead, 1/3. Port back 1/3.
Port answering back 1/3.
That's how you turn right.
Port ahead, 1/3.
Port answering ahead 1/3.
Clearing ahead. Shifting to fathoms. 10 fathoms. 20.
I got to look up and see how long a fathom is.
20. 35.
Take it down to 100 feet, Ed. All ahead standing.
All ahead, sir.
No.
Another scene to remind us that yes, the Marines are on board.
Mr. Jones.
He's learning.
Captain's compliments, sir. We're there. When? Zebra, under the ice, their last estimated position. Switch on hull and sail floodlights.
I do think it's neat, though, they have instruments that can tell them how thick the ice above them is.
Control, sonar. All clear forward.
Trace merging. Thin ice. Mark.
Control, sonar. Heavy close range clutter on my scope. Appears to be clear ahead.
Mark. Thin ice. 3 feet. 4 feet. 3 feet. Trace merging. All ahead 1/3.
Still all ahead 1/3.
Belay that. All stop.
Answering
Thin
all
ice.
stop. 3 feet.
Speed 0. We're centered up now, Captain.
At 100 feet, sir. Stop trim.
Ed, bring her on up.
Coming up fast, Captain. 80, 75. Stand by, negative Rollins. Sharp gradient at 90 feet, Captain.
Heavy ice. Heavy
Come
ice.
on, come on. There you go. Nope.
90 feet. 110. $90 feet. 110. 200. 220. 240. At 260 feet, Captain, and holding.
Current where it shouldn't have been. Temperature at version where it had no right to be. Pressure ridge right out of nowhere.
What now?
What do you mean, what now? We tried again.